Roll on highway, roll on along. Roll on daddy till you get back home. Roll on family, roll on crew. Roll on mama like I asked you to do. And roll on 18-wheeler, roll on.
Hey guys, welcome to another short episode of Trucking with Bones and the Paperwork Princess. I'm going to try this little Apple earpiece and see if it gets any better reception sound-wise. A lot of background noise here. So anyway, I want to talk to you for a few minutes about INOPS. I move a lot of INOPS. We are constantly picking up an INOP of one type or another, and there's a number of different kinds of INOPS out there. If you're not sure what INOP means, it's a vehicle that's inoperable. You can't get in it, turn the key, put it in gear, and drive it on the trailer under its own power. Some of them were set on with a large forklift and either removed again with a forklift or rolled off the trailer or winched off or drug off or something, but some of them you have to winch on, which is why I maintain a functioning winch on my trailer, because I would much rather pick up a $1,500 INOP that's somebody's pet project that they gave up on and sold, pull in their neighborhood, stop at their driveway, roll it out of their garage, winch it up on the back of my trailer. Takes a few minutes, but it pays $1,500 instead of a running car that I could have got in the same neighborhood paying $1,000. The extra $500 for another 30 minutes worth of work, to me, is well worth it. That doesn't mean that every INOP is only going to take you an extra 30 minutes. Sometimes they can take quite a bit longer than that. I like to use the analogy of shopping at Walmart. And it has 50 aisles in it. Some of those aisles are stocked with INOPS. Some of them are stocked with running vehicles ready to go. Of those running vehicles, some are large units, like F350s or E350s, or some of them even larger than that. But they're larger units, dualies, tall units, even F-150s with a lift kit on them, all of which take up a little bit more space. And so you have to know your trailer, you have to work well with your dispatcher to make sure that you're getting a load put together that's going to fit on your trailer and not be over length or over height for the trip that you're running on. We do provide you with a list of specific state requirements when we dispatch for you, either under our authority or under your own authority. It doesn't matter. We still provide you with the same useful information that we've gathered over the years that can save you a lot of time, hassle, and money in tickets and rearranging your trailers. So they'll let you go from the scales. But anyway, and there's some other aisles in Walmart as well that, like going to the port. Most ports require a TWIC card, T-W-I-C. If you've been watching our videos, we've got one we did where we recently went to a port. 2 ports, in fact, on the same trip, East Coast. One of the ports required a TWIC card, and we hired a escort service to take us in because neither the Paperwork Princess nor myself currently have a TWIC card. We're not outlaws, we're not terrorists, we could get one, we just haven't spent the money and taken the time to do so. We don't go to ports very often, so it's not a really big deal for us. The second port we went to did not require a TWIC card, just a driver's license. But there was an hours long delay at that particular port. It's not always the case, you just never know. The only thing for certain in the car hauling industry is that nothing is ever for certain. You just have to have the right mentality to be willing to work with that. If you're the kind of person that can't adapt and overcome to change, this is not the business for you. So back to Walmart or any other store. As a driver, if you're picky, if you say, I'm not going to haul INOPS, well, there's about 10 aisles out of that 50 aisle grocery store that you can't shop from anymore. And that's going to cost you money in the long run. I know because my company dispatches for a lot of different trucks, different drivers, and we see the numbers from the drivers that are picky and the numbers from the drivers that are not picky. And what we found is that in order to overcome being picky, you have to drive a lot more miles. And you end up spending a lot more money. You end up spending more on maintenance, fuel, more time on the road for the more miles that you've covered. And in the long run, your dollar per mile figure, which is where you're going to figure your profit margin, is a lot lower. Like, I've got guys running 7-car trailers right now. My pickier guys are constantly in the low $2 a mile range, like $2.20, $2.30. My non-picky guys are in the $2.60, $2.70 a mile range. That's a big difference when you're putting 12, 16,000 miles on them in a month. 30, 40, 50 cents a mile more, that many miles in a month, it's a big difference. So to me, it's well worth making the decision before you get into the business, or if you're already in the business and you're struggling, maybe you need to look at your business model, the way that you manage your truck, where you're willing to go, what you're willing to haul. Are you doing your own dispatching? Do you have anybody else, family member, a partner that's riding with you, just anybody else, whether it's my company or another paid dispatcher, but as long as they do a good job, you will make better money with somebody else doing your dispatching. So if you're picky about large units typically pay more money, but there's a lot of them out there. You're going to take another 10-hour aisles out of the grocery store that you can no longer shop in. So now you're down to 30 aisles. If you're fairly new to the business, there's going to be a number of brokers who will not dispatch a unit to you, either because you don't have 25 positive ratings yet on Central, or because you haven't been on Central for 1 or 2 years, depending on their specific requirement. Now, that's just a handful of brokers as far as the 1 or 2 year requirement goes. So you can definitely start a new business and survive and do quite well if you're smart about the way you run it and get by without that handful of brokers until you reach that 1 or 2 year mile marker where you can haul for them. But the 25 positive ratings is a really, really big deal. It's not difficult to get them, only takes about a month or less if you do a bunch of really, really short hauls that you're not really going to make much money on. But there are enough brokers out there that don't have that requirement that you can stay busy, you can survive until you reach that 25 positive ratings on Central mark so that you can haul for more brokers. Now, the majority of the better quality brokers will require what's called a carrier compliance application, kind of like a job application. My dispatchers fill those out for you. You don't have to take the time to stop and do that. Most of them are paper copies, so you'd have to be able to print them off, fill them out, either scan or fax them back to the broker. It'll take anywhere from 30 minutes to 10 days to process it. So the likelihood of you getting the specific vehicle that you called about is fairly slim. However, at least you're in the system for the next time that you want a vehicle from that particular broker. We're getting a little off track here though. We're dealing with INOPS specifically. So there's a lot to learn about dealing with an INOP. The proper use of a winch, how to winch a vehicle on and off of both your bottom and your top deck with a single winch mounted in a single location on your trailer. We teach this process at our yard in Spencer, Tennessee, which is usually me doing the class. It's a 3 to 4 hour class. We'll provide a few vehicles. We'll show you how to use your trailer, your winch, proper load securing, proper spacing, a lot of little things like that. It's not a long class. We do charge a little bit for it. Unless you're going to be running under our authority, then we throw it in as part of the package. We try to make sure that you have all the tools necessary to be successful when you hit the road, regardless of whether you're under our authority or yours. We just had a guy, shout out to Jay and Tina. They bought an 8-car Wally mow from us and came to us with a nice late model Peterbilt truck. They've never done car hauling before. We did a class in our yard there at the shop, provided them with a few vehicles. They loaded and unloaded forwards and backwards, top deck, bottom deck. No winch yet, but he's working on that. But we did give him some basic pointers. His first month out, he was able to gross $34,000 as a new car hauler. That's phenomenal. Give him 3 or 4 months and he's liable to blow the rest of us out of the water. Most car haulers start off a little bit slow on their first 1 to 3 months, just getting familiar with their trailer, getting used to the loading and unloading, being a little bit slower about loading and unloading so they don't cause damage. But anyway, when you're dealing with INOPS, there's a lot of concerns. You've got loose parts. If it's a wreck, we pick a lot of units up from places like Copart and IAA, which are both insurance auto auctions, so they have a lot of total vehicles there. You want to make sure that the parts are secure. Their forklifts can load your trailer in any position on your trailer. If it's a top front position, all you have to do is jackknife your truck. They'll set it right on there. There's a handful of Coparts out there that will not side load a vehicle. They will only end load, front or back. Their forks are long enough that they can put a vehicle in the center of your trailer from the front or the back. They can also load into the belly of your trailer. They may not be able to get all the way into the very, very front bottom deck position, but they can definitely load the bottom back 2 positions, which is where a winch comes in handy, being able to pull it the rest of the way in. And if it's going to be forked off on the other end, you can use your winch to pull it backwards with a snatch block and some D-rings strategically mounted on your trailer, which we install winches at our shop. We'll show you how to use them. We'll show you how to set up your block and tackle or snatch block system to be able to offload and onload top and bottom deck. We can design the winch placement either in the nose of the trailer or back near the suspension, depending on the design of the trailer. If you have an 8-car trailer that holds a small car directly over the 5th wheel on kind of a middle deck, your winch will probably have to go in the back near the suspension. We've done a number of these installs. They work very well. And we'll show you how to use your winch regardless of where we install it for you. One of the concerns about INOPS, as I was saying a minute ago, is parts falling off and damaging cars below you. So you do want to make sure that you remove any loose parts, put them in the trunk or the floorboard of the car that you're hauling. If it's leaking fluid, diapers and blue pads that you can buy at Walmart are amazing things. If you've got, say, a busted oil pan on the bottom of an engine, I've had that before, just a crack, and you put it on your trailer, and if it's not in the same position that it was in the junkyard, you may have another quart of oil or so that's going to leak out all over your bottom deck while you're driving with the wind blowing, so it splatters it everywhere. If you'll take 3 or 4 blue pads, they're like 2 foot by 3 foot. You see them in nursing homes or used under elderly folks who are unable to get out of bed to use the restroom, and it catches fluids and it absorbs them like a diaper. Put one of those up around the bottom of the engine and use some bungee cords to hold it in place. it will very effectively prevent oil from getting all over your bottom decks. Now, our bill of lading on the back of it has a whole lot of "we are not responsible for"s. A lot of it's hard-learned lessons. When you choose open transport, most of those transporters will deal with INOPS. If you don't want to take the chance of your vehicle getting some oil on it, then you either need to specify and pay for a top deck position, which is worth more money, or you need to pay the difference to have a car shipped enclosed, which is still not a guarantee you'll never get oil on it, but it's much more, or much less likely that you'll get oil on it, or parts falling off another car and landing on it, because most of the units in an enclosed transport are late model, good condition, high dollar type cars. So if you do happen to get some oil on a car, clean it off before you deliver it. It's not that hard. You don't even have to offload the vehicle. Just go through like a Blue Beacon or any other brand of truck wash and tell them you want that car washed. You know, they can wash your entire rig for about $100. It's not that bad. Or they'll spray off just a single vehicle if it's bad enough that you can't just get out there with like a baby wipe and wipe it off. I have never seen a vehicle damaged from oil dripping on it. I have a buddy that hauled one that must have recently been painted because the paint wasn't cured yet. It was a white paint and it got, I don't remember if it was engine oil or transmission fluid, but anyway, it actually stained the paint and he had to pay to have the car repainted. That was kind of expensive for him. But that's really odd. It doesn't usually happen. I've had hydraulic fluid, power steering fluid, antifreeze, rear end dope, engine oil, automatic transmission fluid. I don't think I said that already. Anyway, I've had all those on cars on the bottom deck, and so far I've never yet seen any damage from it. Not even on a black canvas top. I have never had a white canvas top get oil on it, so I couldn't tell you about that. I'd be a bit nervous to put one of those on the bottom deck, to tell you the truth. So, INOPS can be challenging. I don't mess with a $200 or $300 INOP. I don't like messing with $200 or $300 running cars anyway. I like mine to be $500 or more. But again, I do the long haul, so I'm dealing with, $1,000 is my smaller paying vehicles, and $3,000 roughly is usually on the top end per unit. So I'll handle an INOP for that, and I will go to a lot of extra work to get one on for that kind of money if I can't find another vehicle that runs for basically the same amount of money. So it's a case-by-case basis, but it is well worth the effort to deal with INOPS when they're available, when they pay better, or when they're the only decent paying vehicle in the area. It's good to know how to do it. And even if you don't plan on using our dispatch and you don't plan on running under our authority, we can still provide a training class at our facility specifically to show you how to deal with INOPS, or the whole package of how to haul cars. In that class, we go over inspections, filling out your bill of lading properly, how to properly document damages, dirty cars, wet cars, things like that. Some of the challenges in finding damages on those types of vehicles. How to properly space your vehicles, both bumper to bumper, and if you're putting them on the bottom deck, how low or how close you can get the top deck to the roof of that car so that you can have enough room on top for a taller vehicle on the top deck. How to tie a vehicle down so it can't bounce if you need to lower your top deck even farther than what would be a normal distance. How to make sure that you're not over length, over height, how to deal with overheight vehicles, and if possible, how to fix that problem without pulling the tires off of it, which I've thought about before. There's a lot of little tricks that you learn in this industry, and we're happy to pass those on. So go to our website, It'll either be here, or I don't know, wherever the paperwork princess puts it. Or I may send it to the dispatch queen and let her put it up if she has time. So wherever that dispatch link is, follow it. NationwideAutoDispatch.com. Go to our website. We have a lot of useful, helpful information on there. It's totally free to read through. If you're interested in dispatching, go to the contact page, request a dispatch packet. If you're interested in leasing on under our authority, request a owner-operator lease agreement. If you're interested in becoming a company driver, driving one of our trucks, where you have the potential to bring home over $8,000 per month, that's right, 8,000,000 with a big dollar sign on the beginning of it.
You just said 80,000 on it.
Did I say 80,000? My apologies. 8,000. Paperwork princess is correcting me over here. She's my editor. Anyway, whatever the number of zeros, it's $8,000 I'm talking about here, that you can take home as a company driver, plus a little if you're really motivated, because we pay 26% of the gross load, and any decent driver can do $32,000 in a month, which gives you $8,000. A really good driver can get $36,000, take or give a little, which brings you home even more money. Now, understand, our pay system is on a performance-based pay plan, so if you ain't producing, you ain't getting paid that much. In other words, we start at 20%, and you have to reach certain mile markers, which is all laid out on our paperwork. As you get to each financial goal in a month, your percentage for the entire month goes up. You can reach as much as 26% of your gross income to the truck take home to you, the driver, in a month's time. That's pretty good money, folks. You don't have to pay for the breakdowns, which are pretty rare because we're running all late model trucks, except for mine, and I got the piece of junk. Actually, the old truck's not a bad truck. It's pretty reliable. We just keep having tire issues on the trailer we're trying to get worked out. The truck has a new engine in it, new rear end, new drivetrain, new tires, new brakes, all the way around. Our truck's a pretty good truck. And it's pre-def, which is great, because you're not in the shop all the time dealing with that def garbage, all the contaminated fluids that the seller doesn't pay for, that you've got to pay for. None of those worries. Check out my other video, 03 Mac Vision for sale. Complete walk around, tells you everything about the truck. Welcome to come drive it. First come, first serve. So depending on when you're watching this video, it may not still be for sale, but the video about the truck will come down as soon as the truck sells. So anyway, there's a lot more about INOPS, but I gotta save something for the classes, guys, or I won't be able to sell a class. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Remember to just keep everything positive. Let's all try to help each other out. If you don't like my videos, don't watch them. It's that simple. This is America. You're free not to do that. Watch somebody else. Anyway, keep the greasy side down and stay between the lines, drivers. Be safe.
Roll on high.